Hey everyone, Rawdawg Rory here, rocking Geek Fu, and today we're going to be kicking some junk food butt. Yeah! We might find ourselves in our day-to-day lives constantly surrounded by junk food. You go into work, there's the break room table laid out with goodies. You go driving around, and everywhere you turn, there's another fast food joint. And it seems like you can't go into any retail store, no matter what they're selling, and not find a bunch of junk food at the counter. You know, I even noticed this in a plus-size clothing outlet. You get up to the counter, they had candy laid out all in front of the counter. You know, I got a sick sense of humor, but that cruelness just cracked me up. That's horrible. And then, you go home, you watch TV, ads loaded with tantalizing crap and radio ads and all this stuff. So we're just constantly bombarded and surrounded by this stuff. So here's how we gotta fight back. One thing we can do, and I like to do in my own home, is to really kind of remind myself of all the awesome things that I like to eat and that I want to eat, like all my healthy raw goodies. I like to cut out pictures, take pictures of my favorite dishes and raw treats, stick them up on the fridge as magnets. I like to keep a lot of fresh fruit around the kitchen, right at arm's reach and just looking so good, keeping the kitchen looking pimped out. And then even like on the shelves in the kitchen, I'd always like to put, a couple of my raw food recipe books and, healthy living books as just constant reminders and inspiration and my own little subliminal advertising to keep all the good stuff that I wanted to eat in my mind rather than the stuff that I didn't want to eat. And one thing that I really want to emphasize is that you do that. Focus on the good stuff that you want to eat. Keep reminding yourself of why it rocks so much. Keep that in your head and don't bother thinking so much about, oh, this other food sucks because when you start doing that, it gets you thinking about that food, and then that little rebellious part of you pops up and says, yeah, go ahead and eat that food anyway, just to be bad, do it. You don't want to incite that, you don't want to elicit any of that, so just keep focused on the things you want to eat. And then when you gotta leave the house, one thing that always worked for me is bringing a lot of my own food, especially when heading off to work. I'd pack all my favorite things, all the really tastiest stuff is the things that I would bring out with me or that I would pack in my work lunches. I mean, that way, so when I'm at work, I'm surrounded by all these unhealthy options and all these tasty treats that I used to eat. I have something really good to take myself away from that and distract and be like, I'm good, I got this. And I also like to put a lot of love into the food that I'm making for myself and a lot of thought in the food I'm making myself to bring out and to bring to work, because that way it's just that much more awesome and you're that much more likely to reach for that and go for that and just ignore the other stuff because it doesn't got all that good stuff going on for it. And this trick really works well if you're going out to the movies. I mean, you go out to the movies, a large soda and a popcorn, with the money you'd spend on that anyway, you could go ahead and buy yourself a prepared raw dinner, at a fancy restaurant. So it's like, why bother? Just sneak in your own stuff. It's all good. I ain't gonna tell nobody. And, this also works really great when you're out grocery shopping. It's so easy to get tempted when you're out there trying to get your healthy eats. You're surrounded by all this junk at the registers. Bring some of your own snacks, If they're not selling it there, you don't got to worry about it, Just bring your own goods, bring your own smoothie. Keep yourself satisfied and always bring more than you think you'd need. Don't just bring a little bit, bring more than you think you need. I always do that because that way, I have what I need, and then if I'm really tempted, I could say, all right, let me eat some of this good stuff I brought, and fill up on that, and then the other stuff just doesn't look that appealing when I'm already so, stocked up on my own goodness. And the last thing that you got to remember is when beating junk food, don't beat yourself up. If you do find yourself, munching on something that you'd rather hadn't, don't waste any time beating yourself up, knocking yourself or feeling bad about it, because when you do that, you're just going to invite that rebellious part of yourself to pop up again and say, see, that healthy lifestyle is crap. Just go with the good stuff. Go with the junk food. You don't want to elicit that. You don't want to battle yourself. Just let it slide and spend that time boosting yourself up rather than beating yourself up. Sorry, monster truck was a little distracting. And just keep rocking on in your adventures and keep kicking that junk food's butt.